Hi, this is Adam Fenn. I'm the creator of WrestlingTools, and I'm back again with another tutorial. This time I'm going to show you how to use CamTwist. I'm not going to show you everything there is to know about CamTwist, but I am going to show you everything you need to know in order to run a successful webcast. We'll start with CamTwist just being fired up. Now the first thing you need to notice is there's a preview and a program window. The preview window shows you everything that you're about to throw into the program window. So it really gives you a safe environment to configure what you're about to show online without actually having to do that live in front of everyone on your webcast. Now, what moves things from your preview to your program window and back again is when you hit one of these transition buttons. You can use cut or dissolve, or you can use one of these fancy effects in this drop-down menu if you click the effect button. Now, in my case, I normally just use cut and dissolve, pretty basic. One thing you'll want to do, if it isn't done for you already from your preferences, is you'll want to select swap mode. What that'll do is it'll automatically place what you had in your program window into your preview window every time you click one of these transitions. If you don't do that, you'll have to completely rebuild from scratch your preview every time you make a transition. And that is an unnecessary hassle. So I always keep the swap mode button selected. So we're going to start by building something to put in our preview, and to begin with it's going to be very simple. We're just going to click the camera button that we selected or we created last time. So I just select that button and it shows up in preview. Now on my webcast, still they're just seeing a black screen. I'm probably not even on the air yet. Now when I want to make that view of my window go into the program window from my preview window, I just click the cut or dissolve button. In this case, I'll click the dissolve button. And you can see what was in my preview window has moved to my program, and what was in my program has moved to preview, and preview is now blank. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add, let's see, this time I'm going to add a logo. I'm going to add a button to put a graphic on the screen for me. So I click the new button, and I name it, let's name it logo. And then I'll click on the elements to configure it, and I'll just search on the words image. And I'll use the image overlay. And then I'll go ahead and close this. And there's this box you can see here called image. I'm going to go to my file browser and I'm just going to drag an image in. And you can find some images that I've pre-populated, very few, and this is maybe where you might place yours as you add custom images. Under your home directory, under library, under application support, CamTwist, and then I created this folder named graphics. So underneath the 16 by 9, I think I've got one I might want to use. Let's see, what do I want to use here? You know what, I'll go back here and I'll just use this Flow Wrestling logo. And I'll drag it into there. And now I'll back to CamTwist. And I've got this big Flow Wrestling block. That's a lot bigger than what I want it to show up on the screen, so I'm going to drag the scale down to resize it. And then I'm going to just grab this little black box and I'm going to move it where I want it to go. And I just want a little bug in the corner, let's say. And then if I wanted to really position it carefully, I could click nudge and bump it around a little bit. I'm really not too concerned about the placement for these purposes here. I could change the transparency if I want to and do some other things. With that, I can rotate it, and you can see a lot of these buttons that you can select. So for here, I'm just going to leave it right there and call it good. That's what I want to show up on my screen. So I'm going to click the Save button on my logo effect, and now I'm going to explain a little bit more about these colors in these buttons. The buttons that are green are in your preview window. That means when you click a transition, they're going to move to your program window. The buttons that are orange are in your program view, and when you click a transition, they're going to be removed. If you click one of these buttons that is orange, it will toggle to red. And what that means is if that button is red, it is in your program, and it is going to remain in your program when you click the transition. So what that means is, since it's going to remain in my program, my preview now shows it as well, and my Flow Wrestling logo shows up on top of it in my preview window. So I want to add that little Flow Wrestling image and click the dissolve button to bring it into effect. So the dissolve brings it in, and because I have swap mode, it placed the image that was in program back into preview for me, so I can build that if I want to. Now I want to lock that Flow Wrestling logo in place so that it's not removed next time I click a transition. So I'm going to go and click the logo button to toggle it from orange to red so that it stays in place. Now I'm going to add some text. Let's say I'm going to add some text so that I can tell people when the finals are going to be, so that I can make sure that if they're not going to watch the whole event, they're at least going to tune in to watch the finals. So I'm going to click a new button. I'm going to rename it this time to, we'll call it Finals. And I'll click the Elements button beside it, and I'll just search on text, and I'll grab text. Close this, and I'm going to say, tune in for the finals at 2 o'clock Central. And I'm going to go ahead and drag that button that I've created to a different place, and I can see, now that I have it selected and in a different place, that the text is too humongous. So I'm going to drag this slider to a smaller size. Let's go with that right there, and then I'm going to grab the block here to move it and just place it right there at the bottom of my screen so people can see that and it's not too intrusive. So now it just says tune in for the finals at 2 o'clock Central, and because it's selected here, it's green, it's in my preview window, which means when I click a transition, it's going to move into my program view. Now, one thing you'll notice is a glitch I've noticed a few times in CamTwist. Sometimes when I add a new button, it places it on top of an existing button. That's kind of a bummer and was a little bit confusing. Just know that that can sometimes happen. So that's why I had to move that Finals button over here so I could still see my logo button. So I'm going to go ahead and click Cut, and I've just now moved that text into my program view, and I have placed what was in my program view, the view without the text, into my preview. Now let's say that the finals have gone on and I want to remove the finals text from my program and take it out of it, and maybe even take it off a preview. If I click a transition right now, that's going to happen. And I know that's going to happen because that's what's in my preview. The text is missing. And second, I know it's going to happen because the finals button is orange. And anything that's orange is in program and is going to be removed from preview. So if I just click a transition like cut, it'll come right back out, and then I can again rebuild my next preview button, or my next preview show, or my preview display that I want to move back into program. And I can do this with any number of effects, with text, with images, with a plethora of effects that are built into CamTwist, as well as the wrestling-specific effects like scoreboards, tickers, Twitter integration, and so forth that I distribute with WrestlingTools. And we'll get into those in another tutorial. For now, there's one more thing I want to show you here that's really important. If you're familiar with the concept of layers, this should be really easy for you. But if you'll look at this, you'll notice that the image from the camera is in the background. On top of the image from the camera is this text and this image. And that's true because the text and the image buttons are higher, they're in a higher row than the camera, which is on the very bottom. Now, I'll try to demonstrate this just a little bit more by moving the text and the logo so that they overlap each other. So I'll go back here to the text that we had from before, from the finals. Oops, I'll select that one more time, and I'll make it a little bit bigger to more clearly illustrate this. I might even change the color so that it's really annoying and I can see it on top of the Flow Wrestling logo. So now we've got that there. I'm going to drag it over here, and you can see that the finals text is not only on top of the camera view, but it's on top of the Flow Wrestling logo as well. And that's because it's further to the right. So things that are higher go on top, and things that are further to the right go on top of things in the same row. Now if I wanted to change the order, I could drag logo over here, and now it's on top because it's further to the right. And I could also place it higher up and higher up to the left, and it'll still be underneath. But if I take the finals text and move it higher up still, it becomes on top. A little bit confusing, but once you get the hang of that, it's really handy. You'll be able to adjust your effects and layer and order them any way you like to. For now, that's pretty much what you need to know from a fundamental CamTwist perspective in order to make things work. I'll get into how to use the WrestlingTools specific effects in the next few tutorials. Thank you for watching, and be sure to check out the next tutorials.